And the gallery space here is Mr. Shin Kiwoun.
Hello, nice meeting you.
And June and I work together.
Yes, we work together. Just like that.
Yeah. And so we, last fall, I was invited to Korea to do a show. And I went and spent 10 or 12 days, I think, and I met these artists while I was there and had a great rapport with everybody. It was an amazing trip. And what I didn't know then that I'm learning now is that my trip there had a creative impact on these artists. And like this right here was inspired directly by my work. And I mean, who knew? You know, you do these things quietly throughout the day, and you hope that maybe at some point they'll get out to the world. You never know, but then they do, and then they touch people. And so this exhibition is about that symbiotic relationship that happens over time and over space, and it transcends cultures and transcends land masses. And again, what we were talking earlier at another meeting is that art matters in a big way. And art is a common language of all humanity, which is the reason it's so important to me. So I'm very grateful for June to help with organizing this show. And it all came together effortlessly, amazingly. So we're going to talk a little bit, have each artist talk about their work. Would you like to do that?
Okay.
You can do that. And then June can also ask some questions to help facilitate the information.
So we'll start with the Mine List Camp, and this full works. And also, you see the nobody, the yellow, the installation outside. That's also a signature of whole work. So it's a nobody. It is a meaning of a meaningless. So you're nobody unless you got recognized by somebody. Then you become a nobody, and you could become a somebody. But do you have to be recognized to the somebody? No. Maybe nobody is just a nobody itself, but you don't have to be recognized. You still be a nobody, but it means something. So that philosophy is behind of this work. So it shows many meanings behind, but especially this piece, I invited her to one of our exhibition space in Seoul, and then we fortunately had 21 Shane's Venice Biennale pieces. So after the Venice Biennale ended, he sent a whole 21 package to Korea so that we have a big exhibition. Actually, it's coming up this September.
Yep.
So Shane will be in Korea.
Yep.
So every year he comes to Korea. So
it's a 5-movie flight.
Yeah. Hey, I'm always going to Korea from New York.
Right?
It's like 15 hours.
I know.
So, hey, no complaint.
I know.
You can do that. Okay, so I invited on the list to the special the exhibition space, and then as soon as she walked in, she just touched, impressed, and she actually cried in front of Shane's paintings. So I asked, hey, what happened? Because hey, like you just walked in and she just cried and she just stood there like, okay. And she was very impressed by basically senior artist and established artist, and she felt the energies. So when Shane invited the artist that he met, she actually created this piece to show her respect to the Shane Guffogg and tribute to his whole journeys of the artist. So can you explain a little bit about this work?
This work, actually, Shane's works. I want to expression. Oh no, so. Shane's work. I want to expand Shane's work, and I want drawing about this because I'm nobody to Shane. But
Not true.
yeah, before this exhibition. So now I can be somebody, maybe to him. And then this one is first point, close to him. No. So this one is very, very important work. And thank you, June.
So we have this special piece exhibited in this special museum, and then we also have another artist, Anon. This is a textile arts, especially when you see these two pieces, the installation and these two pieces. What color do you see? Orange, yes. These three pieces are specially made for this Lindsay and Orange Blossom Festival. Because when I invited her, she thankfully, created and shared her vision about the Lindsay. So you see the oranges and you see the gradation of the orange colors. And then when she was in the Cali, these two works represent sun and the flowers. Because when you live in the Cali or the Strathmore or Lindsay, sometimes the whole beauty is just you're just given.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you appreciate that, but not every single moment. But when you visit place to place, then you really appreciate true beauty of it. So she was so fascinated by the flowers and sun and the oranges and all the beauties of the nature. So we can try to express that thank you, and also it's a very special moment for her and the museum and borders as well.
Yeah.
So thanks to the Anna. And we have another artist. This artist, his name is Ho-Min Kim. He cannot make it because of the visa issue. Okay. Yeah, many things are happening right now. So he cannot make it, but actually his wife is here representing his work. Can you explain a little bit about your husband?
Oh, okay. So this is moving his work. He explores the relationship between external reality and inner emotions. So actually, this piece is called Urban Politics. He got inspired by New York street board. The billboard with advertisement and military of images of Mars. So he got inspired of it, and if you see them, they are very layered, so many layers and so many color. He cannot place with the acrylic paint. So first he layers with the acrylic and he peels it off, and he reconstructed the canvas. And so this was his one of his series, and this one is actually very recent. He sent it from Korea. So it's called the Winterborn Butterfly, and Jun just mentioned like a little bit about his situation. So he wanted something hope from like his condition right now. So he made like a butterfly structure which means hope. And he wants hope and possibility throughout his hardship and lifestyle. So.
Well, he actually came to U.S. Sometimes, like I said, for the Anon's work, when you come to the new space, you see things differently. So when he was educated in Korea, and when he came to the New York for the masters, he did an undergrad master's in Korea, but he did another master's in SVA, right? School of Visual Arts. And then after he finished his master's and he stayed in New York, Brooklyn, then the new things really came and caught his eyes, which is that's beautiful, because that's not really common in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes New York is so historical and classical city, but Korea is so trendy, so everything is so digital. So we don't really see much of the beautiful nowadays, but that really caught his eye. So this is how he came out. So cultural were surroundings and all what he observed. So when he comes back to New York, then maybe he will explore more about the surroundings. And then next to Guffogg, I represent him for 2 years. He did an exhibition with me in New York and Seoul. Shane, can you explain your work a little bit? Why is it the still points?
Okay. All right, put me on the spot. So the still point is, it's a line from a poem by T.S. Eliot called Four Quartets. And numerous times throughout this poem, he refers to neither coming nor going, neither flesh nor fleshless, at the still point of the turning world. They're the dance lives. So 40 years ago, I started reading this poem, and I've read it over and over, many, many, many times. And every time I get something new out of it, and it keeps feeding me. And this was written in the 1930s in England. He was an American poet. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his writing. But it became almost a gateway for me to walk through, to think about language in a different way, and to think about language as color and language as shapes and forms. And with these, and I was actually sitting on a city council meeting in downtown LA, neighborhood council meeting, and I'd been elected and was a chair or whatever. So I was sitting there and somebody was arguing why they wanted a liquor license for their restaurant. And I thought, this is such a waste of my time. What am I doing this for? And I was doodling to try to keep myself calm. And I looked down and I thought, that's my still point. So that's where it started. And I started investigating it. And again, I started off as a realist painter. I started as a figurative painter. Then I realized that me making a mark is an extension of my physicality. So that makes it a figurative painting, in essence. So then I think a lot about time. And as I'm making this mark, and I've been doing this for so many years, I thought, maybe that's enough just to make that mark. But what if I make 1,000 of them? And it's 1,000 moments that are now piled on top of each other and condensed into a single moment. So we start thinking about time in a different way. I'm known as an abstract painter. I don't see myself as an abstract painter. For me, these are very real. And these paintings over there, which I didn't even title till this morning, because they're pretty new. And these came about, again, it's these brush strokes. But if you look at this and you're looking at a line, what if that line goes like this and goes like this, and it has a three-dimensional shape to it? And then what if it's semi-transparent? And what if it is time itself? And I was reading this whole article about the James Webb telescope, or the Hubble telescope, and now we're receiving light from deep inside the universe that is 16 billion years old. So the light that we are sending out to the universe out there, X amount of light years away, they're just now receiving the light from when we were in the age of the dinosaurs. So that got me thinking differently about time and space, and what if I could then show these multiple layers simultaneously as this light reaches us. So my work is always about this idea of time and about making the invisible visible. And how do I get my senses awakened to what's all around us that we can't even see, but we can intuit? And I was talking to somebody recently about, you stand in front of this painting, and I said, ultimately, my goal is that it bypasses the intellect, and it goes straight to the core of their being, and it forces them to be in the moment, in the now, because that's the one thing we're lacking. So if I can get somebody to do that, to have that experience, then I feel like I'm successful. So then for me to realize that my work is having an impact on other artists, not only locally, but globally, that's quite profound for me and rewarding.
And yes, you are.
And we have one more.
We have a last artist, Mr. Kiwoun Shin. With a little bit of technical difficulties, but this is like the best we can do. Maybe If next year, when we do annual exhibition with Lindsay, we can prepare more. Yay! So, can you explain a little bit about your work?
Okay, I want to question to you, everyone. When you most strongest feeling, when you feel existence about your home, when you feel most strongest feeling, when we hold our home at home,
Oh.
when we miss the home, we feel most strongest feeling about our home, isn't it? So that was a kind of beginning to develop my idea when I began the grinding work. So I tried to grinding and destroy a lot of objects. I tried to explain my idea. So there's two pieces. Two of the most successful explain my idea because it's very, very most important object, as we know, the coin, money. Also, money has a most important icon, symbol of our country, our generation. You know, everything will come from dust, money, and all of them go back to dust as we learned from our parents and all of the religions teaching us. So I build the ground my machine to ground very slowly because I want to show our body spread out the dust from the strong body as a coin, even though it's still. So I want to show also play the reverse, from the reverse play, we build from the dust and back also the dust. That's very, very common and simple idea. We understand the situation, but we never seen that. So I just record the situation. It's a kind of instant things, but it also, I think it's very useful explain the situation and everyone already understand. Simple things. We build and we present the idea. That's my idea.
So he's an artist and then also professor of the Yongnan University, and he is teaching the trans art. So you see, professors usually ask questions. You know, when they start the presentation, you ask questions and you can expect you to answer, but they do not really expect you to answer because he or she has an answer in their mind. So basically, the whole idea about his work is basically like this is like a fast play, right? Typically speaking, this is like a 10-minute or.
Actually, the grind I spend 3 and 4 hours for each coin grind to totally dust.
So we all kind of go back to dust, but like a whole meaning of it is, and then he kind of reverse the planet, so it becomes the again. So he's talking about the existence. So what is existence? Like when the coin is totally composed, then it's not the coin, or it is still a coin, or because it still has a meaning behind. But like it is, does the physical thing is really gonna mean something? So and then it all comes back to the dust, but it actually comes back to the real existence. So it's the circle of the life, and then that's what he is really kind of exploring the whole ideas. So these are 5 artists. So the reason why we call this exhibition Still Points, everything moves but one remains, because with Shane's influence in Korea, but he keeps communicating with young artists and keeps a dialogue open, so that we decided to invite 4 Korean artists to Lindsay so that we can have continuous dialogue between senior artists and relatively young ish. Oh, thank you. I couldn't really figure out the terminology. Youngish artists. Because, but the reason why there are young artists, but like sometimes you need the time to really truly appreciate what are changing, because it's so profound, and sometimes you need a little bit of the experience to really appreciate what the senior artist has been done. So we recruited, actually we invited a youngish artist to this group and present their work in Lindsay, and I thank you, Tyler and Shane and all the people from Lindsay to have this such a beautiful exhibition in this the meaningful space. Thank you.